Everyone knew that my wife loved me to the core. She wasn't in good health and had difficulty getting pregnant. For 5 years of marriage, even though I repeatedly said I didn't care about having children, she insisted on improving her health and even underwent IVF, just to have a child of our own. But the day after she finally got pregnant, I overheard her talking to her secretary. "Ms. Victoria, you're pregnant now. What about the boy? The boy is turning 3 soon, right at the age for preschool. What if Mr. David finds out about this?" Victoria's eyes turned cold. Gritting her teeth, she said word by word, "Tell Mark to keep his mouth shut. If even a hint of this gets out, I'll kill him." 3 years old? The boy? I hadn't even grasped what that meant when my phone received a message. It was a photo from Mark. In the photo, my wife held a little boy in her arms, her eyes filled with a mother's tenderness and emotion. I stumbled back to the bedroom and called Sarah, my sister, who was far away in Switzerland. "Sarah, I'm leaving Victoria. I'll make sure she can never find me again." What's wrong, David? Did Victoria do something to hurt you? No, she wouldn't. She's so good to you, even I, your sister, can't compare. I wanted to say something, but the moment I opened my mouth, my eyes welled up. Yes, even in Sarah's eyes, Victoria was a perfect wife. 8 years ago, Victoria fell in love with me at first sight and pursued me relentlessly. At the time, she was the sole heir of Victoria Corporation, while I was just the son of an ordinary family. Our backgrounds and statuses were worlds apart. Everyone speculated that Victoria was just going through a phase, wanting to try something new, and even I thought so myself. But she persisted in pursuing me for 3 years, as if she wanted to lay the world at my feet. 3 years ago, my parents died in a car accident, and I cried, telling her I had no home left. Victoria looked at me, her face full of sympathy, and kissed away the tears from my face, one by one. "David, let's get married. Let me give you a home." I cried and nodded in agreement, as if grasping the last straw in the world. Victoria was ecstatic and gave me a wedding of the century that shocked everyone. But people still didn't favor this marriage, eagerly waiting to see when Victoria would grow tired of me. Yet, after we married, Victoria personally proved them all wrong with her actions. For 5 full years, I remained the person she held most dear to her heart. To this day, it was widely said that though Miss Victoria was a woman, she was iron-fisted and decisive, and her only soft spot was Mr. David. I could certainly understand Sarah's question. After all, even I felt like what I had just heard was just a dream. I didn't speak for a long time. Sarah keenly sensed my mood. "I'll send a plane to pick you up the day after tomorrow night. You don't need to worry about anything else. I'm worried about you being back home alone. Just bear with it these 2 days. Once the day after tomorrow passes, David Duan will cease to exist in this world." Not long after hanging up, my phone received another message. "Did you see the picture, David Duan? Congratulations. This is my new daddy gift to you. You're going to be a dad too, so of course I have to pass on some experience. After all, the mother of our child is the same woman." Seeing this message, I finally couldn't stand anymore. My knees buckled, and I collapsed onto the floor. All my earlier suspicions turned into reality at that moment. Victoria had truly cheated. We had been married for 5 years, but her child with Mark was already 3 years old. This meant she had cheated just 1 year into our marriage, or even earlier. My hands trembling, I recalled the half a year she spent away from me 3 years ago. We had been married just over a year then, and she said she had an overseas project that required a long business trip. Now, I realized she must have been starting to show then. That half a year wasn't a business trip, she was having a baby. Thinking about it, my chest tightened, and I could barely breathe. She didn't have difficulty getting pregnant because she was in poor health, she just didn't want to have my child. Just as I was at a loss, Victoria walked into the bedroom and found me slumped on the floor. "David, the floor is cold. Why are you sitting there? Are you not feeling well?" Her tone was full of worry, and her beautiful eyes were filled with anxiety, almost exactly like every day for the past 8 years. I quietly hid my phone behind me and forced a smile. Perhaps I was just too excited about becoming a father and lost my balance for a moment. Victoria breathed a sigh of relief and carefully helped me onto the bed. This naughty baby doesn't seem well behaved at all. When he comes out, I'll definitely spank his butt. He's not allowed to bother daddy like this. Hearing these doting and playful words now only filled my heart with another pang of bitterness. I looked straight at Victoria. Victoria, is there anything you're keeping from me? Victoria stiffened slightly, then smiled lightly and shook her head. David, we're husband and wife. Why would I keep anything from you? I scoffed inwardly, wondering what I had been expecting. Victoria didn't notice anything was wrong and looked gently at her still flat stomach. I've scheduled the checkup for tomorrow. The baby we've waited 5 years for must come into this world safe and sound. Her eyes were gentle, her tone sincere. If I hadn't just overheard her conversation with her secretary, I would have believed her completely. But now, all I wanted was to confront her. Is this really the baby you've waited 5 years for? I hid the turmoil inside and lowered my gaze. Let's sleep, Victoria. I'm tired. Too early the next morning, as I was washing up in the bathroom, my phone received a message from Mark. Which DUT? NK is more important, my child or the unformed embryo in her belly? The moment I finished reading that message, I heard Victoria's phone ringing in the living room. 3 minutes later, Victoria walked into the bathroom and gently pressed a kiss on my forehead. David, something came up at the company that requires my personal attention. Don't worry, I'll call you as soon as I'm done. We'll go for the checkup together. I've already arranged everything with the doctor, you can just go directly later. Having said that, Victoria turned to leave without even waiting for my reply. I closed my eyes, fighting back the tears threatening to spill. Victoria, are you really going to leave? Can't you stay? Victoria paused as she was turning, a hint of hesitation in her eyes, but after a moment, she smiled and said, Good boy, I'll try to be as quick as possible. Behave. The dull thud of the door closing echoed, and silence returned to the house. My tears finally started falling in heavy drops. The driver took me to the hospital on time. 2 hours later, Victoria finally arrived, long overdue. We completed all the checkups as arranged by the doctor. As soon as the checkup was done, Victoria left in a hurry again, using the excuse that she had more work at the company. I sat on a chair in the hospital corridor, lowering my head to examine the ultrasound report the doctor had just given me. On the black and white image was a peanut-sized white spot. The doctor said it was my child. As I was gently touching the report, Mark's message came again. All I have to do is tell her the child misses his mother, and she'll drop everything and come to me, including leaving you. I opened the photo that came with it. Victoria was sitting on the sofa, and a little boy in cowprint pajamas was snuggled in her arms, his little hands clinging tightly to Victoria's neck, his expression full of dependence, while Victoria's eyes were filled with indulgence and yielding, a look I'd never seen before. I had imagined this heartwarming scene countless times, but I never expected to see it like this. I could have easily blocked Mark, but I kept torturing myself by reading his messages over and over, just to remind myself what a colossal lie my supposedly happy and perfect marriage had been for the past 5 years. I fiercely wiped away my tears and put away the ultrasound report. I called the driver, told him I had something else to do, and sent him back alone. I sat there numbly on the hospital chair, waiting for what was about to happen. Indeed, not long after, Mark sent another message. Unlike the previous ones, this was a video. Go on, enjoy. We're going to the hospital soon. The child you've waited 5 years for is a bastard she can't wait to get rid of. In the video, Victoria was utterly wild. There were even several sex toys scattered on the bed and the floor. I scrutinized every detail in that video, as if punishing myself, wanting to see the Victoria I had never known. In 5 years of marriage, even in bed, she had always been gentle and composed. I had never seen Victoria this out of control. I don't know how much time passed before a nurse walked up to me. Mr. David, are you all right? Are you feeling unwell? That's when I realized that as the video played, I had been crying harder and harder. By then, my whole body was trembling with sobs, and my hands were shaking so much I could barely hold my phone. Seeing my pathetic state reflected in the glass, I was ashamed to realize that I still loved Victoria. She wasn't an article of clothing you discard when it's torn, nor an object you throw away when it's broken. She was my wife, the wife I had loved for 5 full years. Loving her was no longer just a result of hormones, it was an instinct ingrained in my very being over these 5 years. In these 5 years, everyone only saw how much she loved me, but wasn't I loving her with everything I had? I couldn't let go. Why couldn't, neither of her nor of the child in her belly? Thinking of the peanut-sized child on the ultrasound report, I took a deep breath, fiercely wiped away my tears, and decided to give Victoria one last chance. I called Victoria. Victoria, I'm not feeling well. Can you come back? I miss you. Victoria's voice had an inexplicable tone of suppression. David, I'm not done yet. Wait a little longer. MMGH. A muffled groan echoed, and all I heard in my ear was the mechanical beep, beep. I sat there stunned, motionless, holding the phone. After a long while, I looked at the nurse beside me. I'm fine. I'm leaving now. It was already dark when I got home. The moment I entered the house, Victoria came to greet me. Where did you go by yourself? Didn't even let the driver stay with you? Before she finished speaking, Victoria noticed my red and swollen eyes. What's wrong? Why are you crying? What happened? I looked up, examining the woman before me closely, feeling only sorrow in my heart. Her eyes were full of my reflection, her worry unconcealed. How could a woman whose entire world seemed to revolve around me have cheated? I lowered my gaze, no longer looking into her eyes. Victoria, I miss Sarah. Victoria relaxed, gently wrapping her arms around my waist. My little crybaby. You're going to be a father, yet you're still acting like a child. It's normal to miss Sarah, you haven't seen her in a while. Perhaps it was just my imagination, but I thought I detected a faint scent of milk on Victoria, a smell unique to young children. I broke free from her embrace. I called Sarah today. She was very happy to hear you're pregnant. She also invited me to stay with her for a few days. She'll send a plane to pick me up tomorrow night. Maybe my emotions were fluctuating too wildly, my head felt heavy and dull. All I wanted now was to rest. Seeing that Victoria agreed to what I'd said, I walked straight towards the bedroom. Victoria, I'm a little tired. I want to rest. Perhaps I was utterly exhausted. I woke up close to noon and was surprised to find Victoria still at home today. Seeing that I was awake, Victoria, as usual, pressed a kiss on my forehead. My little sleepy head is finally awake. Come and eat something. There's a cocktail party this afternoon. I checked the time. The plane was arriving in the evening, so it wouldn't conflict with the cocktail party. To avoid making Victoria suspicious and to ensure Sarah's plan went smoothly, I nodded. The moment we arrived at the cocktail party venue, Victoria and I became the center of attention. Oh dear, look at Mr. David. Being loved is different, isn't it? Ms. Victoria's eyes are practically glued to Mr. David. Exactly. After all these years, Ms. Victoria still spoils Mr. David as if he were the apple of her eye. Who in our circle can compare? The congratulatory voices came one after another, until a greasy voice broke the atmosphere. Mr. David, a grown man, how can he be so clingy? Following Ms. Victoria with such longing eyes. Is he perhaps afraid someone will steal Ms. Victoria away? For it was Mark. Everyone heard the malice in his words. After all, Mark's pursuit of Victoria back then was known by everyone in the circle. What does Mark mean by that? Ms. Victoria can be stolen by someone? By whom? Could it be by him? He should look in a mirror. Back then, he shamelessly insisted on harassing Ms. Victoria. In a fit of anger, Ms. Victoria directly caused the Mark family to go bankrupt. And now he dares to provoke Mr. David? Is he tired of living? I pretended not to hear the bystanders' words and also pretended not to see Victoria's ashen face. I walked straight towards Mark. Mr. Smith, you're so concerned about my wife, I'm starting to wonder about your relationship. The moment I finished speaking, Victoria's body stiffened abruptly, and she looked at Mark as if she wanted to kill him. Mark was startled by Victoria's glare. I was just joking. Mr. David isn't that petty, is he? We're all men. Before he could finish, I suddenly threw the glass of red wine straight into his face. Let's just assume what you said is true. Mr. Mark, you must be here to drink at this cocktail party, right? Then you should have plenty to drink. The bright red wine trickled down Mark's hair, the sticky red liquid covering his head and face. Compared to my own well-dressed appearance, he looked utterly pathetic. Mark stared intently at me, his eyes filled with venom. So, the seemingly generous Mr. David is actually so intolerant of others? Even if what I said offended you, you didn't have to humiliate me like this, did you? This time, before I could even open my mouth, Victoria pulled me behind her. Who do you think you are? How dare you question my husband, Victoria's husband? With me backing him up, he can do whatever he wants. Who dares question him? The crowd fell silent. No one expected Victoria to be so ruthless towards Mark. Mark gave me a fierce glare, turned, and walked straight out of the cocktail party venue. Watching him leave, I curled my lips into a slight smile. How dare he deliberately pick a fight with me in such a public setting? I was Victoria's legitimate husband. How could Victoria possibly side with him? Victoria's phone rang just then. Not long after she went to answer it, my phone received a message from Mark again. Do you think she really loves you? All I have to do is crook my finger, and she'll always drop everything for me, leaving you behind. I pulled my gaze away from my phone screen and saw Victoria hurrying back to me. David, there's a file I need to handle urgently. My laptop is in the car. I'll go down for a moment and be right back. My heart sank further and further, but I said nothing, just smiled and nodded at Victoria. As soon as Victoria left, Mark's message came again. This time, just 3 short words. Parking lot. At the same time, Sarah's cowl. Elle came in. The plane has arrived, David. It's time to go. After hanging up, I looked at the words on the screen and walked towards Victoria's private parking lot. I was definitely going to leave, but I also had a parting gift for the two of them. Victoria, Mark. I hope you can handle the big gift I'm sending your way. 5 in Victoria's private parking lot, I immediately spotted her custom-made Rolls-Royce. The back door of the Rolls-Royce was open, and a fair, jade-like leg was dangling loosely outside the car. The parking lot was very quiet. The man's low gasps and a woman's moans clearly reached my ears. Why were you so mean to me just now? You scared me. You soul-snatching vixen. The man's voice was hoarse with post-coital desire. Didn't we agree? As long as you don't provoke David, I'll give you anything you want. The man's movements grew more intense, and the woman's gasps became more hurried. My heart felt as if a huge hole had been punched through it, and a cold wind howled through it. I stood stunned for a long moment, then turned and left the parking lot. I didn't doubt for a moment that Victoria loved me. 8 years couldn't lie, nor could the constant companionship day and night, and the love in her eyes couldn't deceive anyone. But that didn't stop her from seeking thrills outside, or whispering sweet nothings to other men, or engaging in intimacy with another man. She was straying while loving me. If that's the case, I don't want it anymore. When I got home, I printed out all the messages and photos Mark had sent me during this time in the study. I specifically deleted the message about her going to the hospital for an abortion. I organized the documents and placed them under the pillow. I wanted Victoria to find this evidence herself. I wanted her to see with her own eyes that I clearly knew of her betrayal, yet was still willing to forgive her, willing to wait for her to come back to me. I wanted her to live in guilt day and night. I anteed her to wish she were dead. Having done all this, I took my ID and bank card and headed to the airport. Before getting on the plane, I sent Victoria one last message. This was my final blow to Victoria. Victoria, I'm already on the plane. When you're done, come pick me up and take me home. I'll wait for you and the baby. After sending this message, I threw my SIM card into the trash and got on the plane without looking back. After receiving my message, Victoria became even more reckless. While I was away, she brought Mark directly back to the house. 5 hours later, I was sound asleep on the plane, completely unaware that things back home had descended into chaos. While Victoria and Mark were engaged in intimate activities, the secretary frantically knocked on the master bedroom door. Their momentum was broken. Victoria was furious and roared fiercely towards the door. "Get out!" But the knocking didn't stop, it grew even more frantic. Victoria, frustrated, raked a hand through her hair and yanked the door open. "You'd better have something important to say." But before Victoria could finish, the secretary stammered, cutting her off. "Mr. David." Mr. David's private jet crashed into the sea. Victoria's face froze. She felt as though the world had suddenly gone silent. She couldn't hear anything anymore. But the secretary's trembling voice continued to pierce her ears. "The search and rescue has started, but the situation isn't good." This time, before the secretary could finish, Victoria closed her eyes and completely lost consciousness. After Victoria woke up, she stayed by the sea, watching the search and rescue team work offshore. The entire search operation lasted for 3 days. Victoria stayed there for 3 days without eating or drinking. Her body was pushed to its absolute limit. 3 days had long passed the golden search and rescue period. Everyone knew what that meant. The search and rescue team looked at the woman before them with pity. "Ms. Victoria, we've done our best. We simply cannot find Mr. David's body. Accidents at sea, the chances of finding a body are inherently very low. Continuing the search is just a waste of time, Ms. Victoria. My condolences." Before the search and rescue team could finish, Victoria, like a madwoman, slapped one of them across the face. "What are you? What do you mean, waste of time? My husband hasn't been found yet. What do you mean, waste of time? My condolences? My condolences for what? How dare you curse my husband? I'll kill you." Everyone was startled by Victoria's sudden outburst. The secretary immediately grabbed hold of her, trying to control her. But Victoria suddenly went rigid. The next second, a large mouthful of blood sprayed from her mouth. In the last second before losing consciousness, Victoria murmured with a faint smile, "David, don't be afraid. I'm coming to join you." 6 As expected, Victoria was rescued. The first thing she saw when she woke up in the hospital was Mark, crying beside her bed. Victoria's eyes were devoid of any light, as if her soul had been drawn out. "Why did you save me? I need to see David. David is still waiting for me." Hearing Victoria's voice, Mark looked up abruptly and then said, choked with emotion, "He's waiting for you. Aren't I and the child waiting for you too? You still have me and the child. Victoria, I'm telling you, if you dare to seek death, I, Mark, will not live on alone." Victoria's eyes finally showed a flicker of emotion. Her gaze slowly shifted towards Mark beside her. She knew that Mark loved her. From the moment she started pursuing David Duan, throughout the 8 years she loved David Duan, Mark had also loved her. Mark's love was obsessive and persistent. Even after she married David Duan, he even dreamed of interfering in their marriage. She was annoyed by it and directly caused the Mark family to go bankrupt. She thought this would make Mark retreat when faced with difficulty. But one day 4 years ago, Mark walked into her office and looked at her with a determined expression. "I know you love David Duan, but I don't want anything. I don't ask for your love. I only ask that you look at me. I will never let David Duan know I exist, and I won't break up your family. Can I?" That time, Victoria gave him a chance, and that led to the subsequent 4 years. Now, looking at the same determined look on Mark's face as 4 years ago, Victoria couldn't help but feel moved. Why bother? Seeing that Victoria finally responded to him, Mark finally couldn't hold back his tears and cried out loud. As soon as Victoria woke up, she couldn't wait to be discharged and go home. Her secretary couldn't dissuade her and had to comply. The moment she entered the bedroom, seeing the wedding photo hanging on the wall above the bed, the tears she had held back the entire way burst forth. She couldn't forgive herself. Just thinking that she was being intimate with Mark when David Duan was in trouble made her want to kill herself. David Duan had always been afraid of water. How scared he must have been when the plane crashed. Thinking of these things, Victoria's heart twisted like a knife. suffocating her, making her wish for death. Like a madwoman, she ripped the duvet off the bed and even threw the pillows and sheets onto the floor. I'm an animal. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. It should have been me who died. Just then, the documents David Duan had placed under the pillow scattered across the floor as Victoria moved. Victoria froze. Although she couldn't clearly see what was written on the documents, a chill crept down her spine. Her legs went weak, and she scrambled over, picking up the documents one by one from the floor, her hands trembling more and more violently. On those documents were chat logs, photos, and even video screenshots. Every single word in the chat logs pierced Victoria's heart deeply. Gritting her teeth, she said in a terrifyingly cold voice, "Mark. How dare he? How dare he?" 7. She stared intently at every message on the documents. The most recent one was from the day David Duan left. Parking lot. Suddenly, David Duan's last message to her flashed in Victoria's mind. "Victoria, I'm already on the plane. When you're done, come pick me up and take me home. I'll wait for you and the baby." A sudden pain gripped her heart. The pain came so fast and strong, instantly spreading through her entire body. Clutching her chest, she collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air. Her David had known all along about her betrayal, known that she had a 3-year-old child. And even on the day he left, he had seen with his own eyes her being intimate with Mark in the car. Her David, what kind of state of mind was he in when he printed these things? What kind of feelings did he have when he boarded the plane and sent her that message? He was waiting. Waiting for her to see the evidence, waiting for her to admit her mistake to him, waiting for her and the baby to pick him up and take him home. If it hadn't been for Mark's repeated provocations, would David not have wanted to go abroad to clear his head? Would he not have boarded that ill-fated plane? Thinking of this, Victoria's eyes blazed with towering hatred. Investigate. Go investigate for me. Find out exactly what Mark did to David during this time. Find out every single detail for me. Watching the secretary hurry out, Victoria slowly lowered her head and called Mark. "Come and keep me company." Mark didn't think much of it, assuming Victoria missed him, and happily went to meet her. "Victoria, don't be too sad. You still have me. I'll always be with you." Before he could finish, Victoria grabbed him by the throat, choking off his words. Seeing Victoria's fierce eyes, Mark finally felt scared. "Victoria, what's wrong, Victoria? Don't you recognize me? It's Mark. Don't be like this, I'm scared." Victoria's hand tightened abruptly around his throat. Her voice was as cold as a demon from hell. "You're scared? You dared to provoke David behind my back, and you're still scared?" Mark's expression froze. Instinctively, he wanted to deny it, but Victoria didn't give him the chance. She violently threw him to the ground. As he fell, Mark saw the scattered documents on the floor. His body started trembling uncontrollably with fear. Seeing him like this, Victoria scoffed. "You are something else, aren't you, Mark? Haven't I always told you that as long as David didn't find out, I'd give you everything you wanted? It seems I've been too good to you all these years, and you've gotten bold. It seems you've forgotten how I bankrupted the Mark family, how I ruined your family." With the evidence right there, Mark knew he couldn't argue. He grabbed Victoria's leg, pleading desperately. "Victoria, listen to me. I really didn't mean to, Victoria. I just heard you were pregnant, and I was so scared. I was afraid there would be no place for the child in your heart. I was afraid you wouldn't look at me again. I know you love him, but I love you too, Victoria. You have no idea how much I love you. I was just too afraid of losing you. Please, Victoria, forgive me, forgive me." Victoria didn't want to listen anymore. She kicked him away violently. "Shut up! You didn't mean to? You sent him messages provoking and humiliating him over and over again, and you say you didn't mean to? Mark, weren't you doing all this just to force David away, trying to use the child to take my place as husband? Now you're scared? What about my David? How scared must he have been when the plane crashed?" Mark shook his head repeatedly, unable to utter a single complete sentence. Just then, the secretary burst into the bedroom, phone in hand. "Miss Victoria, we found it." 8 Victoria snatched the phone from the secretary's hand, staring intently at the screen. After the checkup that day, Mr. David didn't leave the hospital. He sat on a chair in the hospital corridor. "We retrieved the hospital's surveillance footage. A while after you left, Mr. David received a message. It was from Mr. Mark. Also, the surveillance footage from the underground parking lot on the day of the cocktail party. When you and Mr. Mark were in the car, Mr. David stood alone nearby for a long time before leaving. Miss Victoria, you should just watch it yourself." The video on the phone showed the hospital corridor. On the long chairs, her David was sitting there all alone, staring blankly at the phone in his hand, crying harder and harder, his whole body trembling. After the nurse walked up to him, his face was streaked with tears, and he looked utterly distraught. He seemed to have made a call, and after hanging up, he sat there in despair for a long while before finally leaving the hospital with a pale face. Thinking of this, she frantically pulled out her phone and scrolled through her recent calls, remembering that call. At that moment, David had given her one last chance, but she had been seduced by Mark, engaged in passionate activity in bed. She spun around abruptly and kicked Mark violently again. "Good, Mark, you're really something. The pain David suffered, the fear he went through, I'll make you taste it all." The moment Victoria finished speaking, several people in white coats and masks walked in from outside the door. Mark slumped on the floor, kept scrambling backward, his voice full of terror. "Victoria, what are you doing? You can't do this to me. I'm the father of your child. I've been raising your son for you all these years. You can't do this to me." Victoria seemed not to hear him at all. She said in a cold voice, "Drag him to the basement. Let him thoroughly enjoy your methods. You know better than I do how to torment someone." Mark was dragged out of the room, howling. Victoria's face was like ice, as if she couldn't hear his cries at all. "Victoria, you monster. You bitch. What were you doing when you cheated? Now you pretend to be devoted? David Duan knew all along that you aborted the child. He never intended to forgive you. I'm telling you. He didn't die from the plane crash at all. He committed suicide on purpose. You are the murderer. Your betrayal was the fuse that killed him." Mark was quickly dragged away, and silence returned to the bedroom. Victoria remained motionless, staring intently at the phone. After a long while, she suddenly started crying and laughing like a madwoman. "Yes, the plane crash must be fake. David definitely isn't dead." David Duan had always been proud. Otherwise, he wouldn't have refused her pursuit for 3 years because of the difference in family background. There was no way he would easily seek death just because his wife cheated. She knew David Duan, just as David Duan knew her. She knew she would never divorce him and let him go, which is why he came up with the plan of faking his death, just to be able to leave her. "Book a plane ticket. Book a plane ticket for me right away." I knew nothing about the chaos back home. I was currently with Sarah, discussing what to eat tomorrow. Ever since she learned about what happened between Victoria and me, Sarah had taken a long leave of absence to be with me. Every day, we were either planning activities or researching food together. Just then, there was a knock on the door. I opened it, and a familiar figure knelt down. "David, I've come to take you home." Before I could react, Sarah slapped Victoria hard across the face. "You bitch! How dare you show up here? What solemn promises did you make to me back then? Is this how you take care of my brother?" Victoria was such a proud person, but now, facing Sarah's slap after slap, she didn't resist at all, just kept apologizing. I'm sorry. I'm a bitch. It's my fault. Sarah, I beg you, let me see David, let me say a few words to him." Hearing Victoria, Sarah hit harder. "Don't me, Sarah. I'm not your sister." I grabbed Sarah's arm, stopping her from slapping. Victoria's face was covered in blood, another slap would kill her. "Go away. I have nothing to say to you." As soon as Sarah stopped, Victoria knelt up straight. "I'm not leaving. I came to take you home. You are my husband. If we're going, We go together. Hearing this, Sarah was so angry she wanted to hit her again. I shook my head at Sarah and then looked at Victoria, who was kneeling before me. I'm not your husband anymore. Have you forgotten? My sister is a powerful figure in Switzerland now. The moment that plane crashed, David Duan died. The person standing here now has nothing to do with you. Victoria remained kneeling upright, her expression showing no sign of wavering. I sighed, but my tears fell in heavy drops. You never had infertility, did you? You just didn't want to have my child. Victoria, do you remember what I said the day I agreed to be with you? 9. Epilogue. My tears dripped onto Victoria's hand. She flinched as if she'd been burned. I lightly brushed the tears from my face and said with a smile, that day I said, Victoria, it would be all right if you fell in love with someone else someday. I only had one request. Don't lie to me, tell me honestly. I wouldn't cling to you, I'd leave on my own. But you broke your promise. You fell in love with someone else, and you lied to me. So, I left on my own. Victoria's tense shoulders slumped. No, David, I didn't fall in love with someone else. I love you, I only love you. He seduced me. Her voice grew fainter. I was amused by her. Is that so? Perhaps. Perhaps you did genuinely love me. But that didn't stop you from being intimate with other men, and it didn't stop you from having a child with another man. He seduced you, and you had to fall for it? You're still making excuses, Victoria. Don't disgust me any further. Victoria's eyes were red-rimmed. After a long silence, she spoke softly, I'm Ori. I scoffed aloud again. Sorry? If you're really sorry, then get out. Get far away. Don't disturb my life anymore. Don't appear before me again. Victoria, I will never forgive you. I slammed the door shut and didn't say another word to her. I don't know when Victoria left. I only knew that when I opened the door the next day, no one was outside. For the next 6 months, I traveled to many places around the world, saw many sights. When I had free time, Sarah would travel with me. Victoria also kept her promise and never disturbed my life. Until this day, when Sarah and I were snuggled up on the balcony sofa, watching the night view. Sarah hesitated for a long moment before speaking softly. They contacted me from back home. They said Victoria died. Depression, suicide. They found a skeleton in the basement of her mansion. After identification, it was Mark's. According to reports from back home, not long after Victoria returned, the child kept crying for his father. One night, he sneaked out alone and was hit and killed by a car. After that, Victoria suffered from severe depression. Yesterday, she jumped off a building. I gently swirling the wine in my glass, unsure what to say for a moment. I never blamed the child. I had seen him in the photo. He was a fair-skinned, adorable little boy. I have to admit, as a father, Mark was capable. He raised the child well. Victoria loved that child. The softness in her eyes when she looked at him was a softness I had never seen before. Unexpectedly, my tears fell into the wine glass, creating ripples. Sarah's voice spoke softly again. His funeral is in a few days. Do you want to go back? I gently shook my head. What would I go back for? In what capacity? There's no need. David, do you still hate her? Hearing this question, I froze. After a long while, I brushed away the tears from the corner of my eyes and drank the wine in one gulp. Before hearing this news, I did hate her. But now, with death, everything fades. All past grievances are erased. Half a life of folly, half a world of dreams. Victoria, goodbye.